Hi, welcome to Math Movies with Ms. Feuer-Beck and Ms. Veluti. Today you will be learning about the powers of 10. The powers of 10 is going to help you with many skills in math. It will definitely help you with multiplying and dividing whole numbers and decimals. Here's the number, 5,672 and 48 hundredths. I've labeled it in terms of our place value. Each place has a value. For example, thousands, hundredths, tenths, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. We can go on in each direction. What I want you to know is that in our number system, we are using a base 10 system, and that means that the relationship between each place and the one next to it is all about the number 10. So let's talk about that for a moment. If we have 10 of these hundredths, that would create 1/10. If we have 10 tenths, that would create 1 whole. If we take 10 wholes and put them together, we have 1/10. If we put together 10 groups of the tens, we have 100. 10 hundredths altogether is equal to 1,000, and we can go on and on. Here's a series of related numbers. We have 3 hundredths, 3 tenths, 3, 30, 300, 3,000. The relationship between these numbers is that each time we go down the list, what we're actually doing is we're multiplying by 10. So let me label that to explain. When we go from 3 hundredths to 3 tenths, we're multiplying by 10. 3 tenths multiplied by 10 equals 3. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 times 10 is 300. 300 times 10 is 3,000. A connection is that if we look over to the right side here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that all we're doing is we're moving the decimal place to the right 1 place each time. We're going here 1 place to the right, and that gives me 3 tenths. Move it over again 1 place to the right, that brings me to 3. I take 3 and I move the decimal place over, and I plug in a 0, and I have 30. 30, I move the decimal place over 1, and I have 300. 300, I move the decimal place over 1 to the right, and I have 3,000. And we could go on and on. What this is showing, if we look at the two sides connected, the left and the right, is that moving the decimal place over to the right is the same thing as multiplying by 10. Here are a couple problems where we're going to use the powers of 10 to solve some multiplication problems. We're going to need to remember that moving the decimal place to the right is the same thing as multiplying by 10. So here we're going to start with 15 times 1,000. Now I know that 1,000 is actually broken up and made up of 10 times 10 times 10, 3 groups of 10. So I'm going to use that to help me solve. I'm going to take 15, and I know my decimal place is there. What I need to do is, because I'm multiplying, I'm moving the decimal place over to the right. But I'm not just multiplying by 10, I'm multiplying by 1,000. So I'll move it over 1 place to the right, and that's multiplying by 1 group of 10. To the right again is multiplying by 10 a second time, and to the right again is multiplying by 10 a third time. In total, 1,000. So I'm going to put zeros here to indicate that they're going to hold the place. And what that means is that 15 times 1,000 equals 15,000. The second problem is 4 hundredths times 100 equals some number. So once again, I know that 100 is the same thing as 10 times 10. I'm going to start with 4 hundredths, And I know that multiplying it by 100 means I'm going to need to move the decimal place over to the right 2 times, 1 time for each group of 10. So I'm going to start by moving it to the right once, times 10, and again to the right, and that brings me to 4 hundredths times 100. My decimal place is now here, and I don't need that 0 on the left anymore because my answer is 4. Let's take a look at those related numbers from the previous slide in a different way. This time what we're going to do is we're going to look going up the list. Starting at 3,000, the connection between 3,000 and 300 is that we are dividing by 10. So I'm going to write that on the side here and show that when we go from 3,000 to 300, that's dividing by 10. When we go from 300 to 30, we're also dividing by 10. Let's see if the pattern holds true all the way. 30 divided by 10 is 3. 3 divided by 10 is 3/10. And 3/10 divided by 10 is 3/100. Very interesting. Now if we take a look at what's happening on the right side, what is happening with our decimal place? Well, our decimal place starts over here and it moves 1 place to the left. And then from the next one, it moves again 1 place to the left. Again, 1 place to the left. We have 3. 3, we move it 1 place to the left. We have 3/10. 3/10, we move it over to the left. We have 3/100. And it goes in that same pattern. So the connection between the two sides here, what we're showing is that when we move the decimal place to the left, it is the same thing as dividing by 10. Here are 2 problems where we're going to practice using the powers of 10 to solve some division equations. Remember, when you move the decimal place to the left, it's the same thing as dividing by 10. So let's start with 912 divided by 10. We're starting out with an easy one. 912. My decimal place is on the right, and I need to divide it by 10. That means I need to bring my decimal place over to the left 1 place and land it right there. And that's dividing my answer by 10. So 912 divided by 10 is 91 2/10, or 91.2. Here's another one. 8/10 divided by 100. We'll start with 8/10. I need to remember that 100 is the same thing as 10 times 10, and I'm going to take my decimal place and I'm going to move it to the left twice, 1 for each group of 10. So we'll start and move it to the left once, and that's dividing it by 10, and moving it to the left again, we're dividing by 10 again, which is a total of 100. So I'm going to put my zeros in place, and what that tells me is that when I take 8/10 and I divide it by 100, I have 8 thousandths. To sum up, remember, each time you move the decimal place to the right, you are multiplying your answer by 10. Each time you move the decimal place to the left, you are dividing by 10. Thank you for listening to the Powers of 10. This is going to help you in so many areas of math, all types of multiplication and division problems of whole numbers and decimals. I hope you learned a lot.